Yo, what's going on, CZN fam? I'm Sue, and welcome back to another How to Play guide for Chaos Zero Nightmare. In this one, we'll be talking about perhaps my favorite character they've released since launch, Narja. As with all my guides, I'll be going over the character's core gameplay loop before we break down the best Epiphany, memory fragment, teammate, and partner choices. Before I jump into the guide though, if you like what I do and want to support me, make sure you subscribe to the channel or consider checking out the Patreon linked in the video's description. Anyways, let's get to it. Narja is a controller combatant whose core gameplay is very much feast or famine, just like her lore implies. Narja's core mechanic is Veracity, a stackable buff that adds a 40% fixed heal to each hit of an attack card. If your health is currently 50% or higher, you also get a plus 30% damage buff to each hit of that attack. Whenever a hit lands from an attack card, your Veracity stacks deplete by 1. Do note that this includes AoE attacks. If you hit 4 targets with an AoE attack, it will attempt to consume 4 stacks of Veracity. In addition, Narja also has a second mechanic called Predation, another stackable buff that grants a whopping plus 80% damage to each hit of an attack card, and once again, those stacks decrease by 1 on each hit. The catch with Predation, though, is if you have 0 stacks of Veracity, the buff doesn't apply, meaning you lose out on a sizable damage boost. Essentially, Narja's team utility, sustain, and even a huge chunk of her own damage is lost if you cannot generate enough Veracity. Hopefully now you understand my feast or famine comparison that I alluded to earlier. It should come as no surprise then that the number one thing on the list of keys to success for Narja is to generate copious amounts of Veracity, preferably from multiple sources. After that, number 2 is activate any other Veracity-based buffs for your team to increase your total damage output, and 3, attack to reap the benefits of Veracity as well as Predation. It's a really straightforward gameplay loop on paper, but once you see Narja's starting deck and unique cards, you'll quickly realize that step 1 is actually the hardest part of playing the character. Narja's starting deck isn't exactly bad by any means, but it's not really great either. NA attack response is a pretty mediocre basic attack, but at least NA defense response is a little better. This is a skill-based heal that generates 2 Veracity when played, assuming you have the correct basic card proficiency unlocked. It can be useful in a pinch to activate Predation, but it's hardly reliable as a source of Veracity stacks. Narja's starting unique card is Shackles of Hunger, and for better or worse, this is going to be your second most reliable way to generate Veracity. When drawn, you will generate 4 Veracity thanks to the attunement keyword. For a support, Shackles of Hunger is a surprisingly good attack, and that's thanks to it being a 3-hit attack that synergizes really well with damage buffs, especially those ones granted by Veracity and Predation. The issue here, though, is that if you decide to play this card, it's going to end up using 3 of the 4 stacks that it just generated in one go, meaning that it can't really be your only means of generating Veracity. Well, okay, it kinda sorta can be your only means of generating Veracity. Let me explain. If you have multiple copies of this card, you'll generate Veracity more consistently thanks to having multiple instances of the attunement ability. And this can be a solid way to get the ball rolling based on your Epiphany choices with this card. After Shackles, we come to Bottomless Hunger, which may just be the universally most useful card in Narja's deck. This zero-cost skill states that the next 2 Veracity stacks you spend this turn will cause a random card in your hand to be reduced by 1 AP. Effectively, this card is a 0 cost that generates 2 AP assuming you attack multiple units in one shot while having Veracity stacks. Without stacks though, it's very much a dead draw. Think of it like Chizuru's Bound at Dusk upgrade in that it's a lot of cost reduction but requires some setup to manage properly. Unlike Bound at Dusk though, the cost reduction is immediate here and far less punishing if you don't have any Veracity. Next, we come to Voluntary Control, which for most builds is going to be the primary way that you build Veracity. This 1-cost skill simply gives you 6 Veracity if your total Veracity stacks is 5 or less. If you have 6 or more stacks, you'll gain 2 Predation instead. Pretty simple and to the point. Provides heals and damage if you need them, otherwise you get a super attack buff if you've already got them. The second to last card is Domain of Veracity, a 1-cost AoE attack that deals defense-based damage to all enemies. Additionally, it doubles the tenacity damage the target takes until it becomes ravaged. Do note, the tenacity damage increase does not say this turn. meaning it will carry over between turns. This move is deceptively good, since it's a cheap attack that can proc several veracity stacks at the same time. This makes it a big burst heal if you need it, but also a utility card that can generate a bunch of AP for the team if you can ravage several enemies. Narja's final card is Mealtime, a 6 AP cost AoE attack with Retain and Unique that also heals and generates 4 predation stacks. Every time you consume 1 stack of veracity, the AP cost of this card is decreased by 1 no matter where it is, whether that's your draw pile, graveyard, or hand. Additionally, the healing potency of this card increases by plus 30% every time a veracity stack is consumed, up to a maximum of 300 extra percent. In theory, Mealtime should be a phenomenal card. It boasts solid AoE damage for free, a huge burst heal, and even a big boost to the team's overall damage. It does literally everything you could want on a support card. The catch is that sometimes you'll draw it when you have no veracity stacks and it'll be useless for a turn or two until you can actually activate it. The other issue is that once you use Mealtime, the cost will be reset to 6, meaning you'll need to build up veracity again and find a way to spend it in order to reduce the cost. It's a powerful card for sure, it's just not always reliable. Moving on to the ego skill now, it's Predator's Hunting Method. This is a 5 ego point single target attack that generates 10 veracity, and if Mealtime is already in your graveyard, you'll also get 5 predation to boot. Simple and to the point, this ego skill is basically your oh shit button. You use it to generate veracity if you desperately need it to heal or to boost your team's damage. Alternatively, it can be a way to reload on veracity after using Mealtime to start to reduce the cost again. The predation is also a nice bonus on top if you're already in the zone. It's a much better ego skill than most of the 5 stars in the game as of the recording of this video. Before moving on to Epiphanies now, let's recap Narja's core gameplay. Step 1, generate veracity and predation using Shackles of Hunger, Voluntary Control, or the ego skill Predator's Hunting Method. Step 2, use cards like Bottomless Hunger, Domain of Veracity, or Mealtime to boost the effectiveness of upcoming attacks. And 3, attack to spend veracity and predation stacks to heal, boost damage, and set up Mealtime for later turns. To kick off the Epiphany choices, let's start with Shackles of Hunger. Option 1 increases the number of hits from 3 to 4 and generates 6 veracity when drawn, making it generically the best option if all you care about is veracity stacks. Option number 2 loses a hit and also 3 veracity when drawn, but gains the ability to return to your hand as long as you spend 3 or more veracity stacks each turn. If you can use other cards to generate stacks, having multiples of this can allow Narja to kind of function like a mini Serenial and get in solid damage every single turn. Well, at least that's the theory, as I've never really been able to get this one to work the way that I want it, so I'm kind of down on it as I record this video. Option 3 provides the highest amount of damage in one shot, but loses the ability to generate any veracity, which makes me incredibly wary of it. Option 4 turns Shackles into a skill that boosts damage of the next attack card you play this turn by consuming up to 5 stacks of veracity. Finally, Option 5 is a zero-cost shield that consumes veracity to get larger. To recap, Option 1 is generically the best option, with Options 2, 4, and 5 having interesting applications in the right deck if you can meaningfully generate enough veracity. One final note on Shackles of Hunger, and that's to be on the lookout for Epiphany that grant Draw 1. Having multiple copies of Draw 1 Shackles of Hunger fixes 2 of Narja's biggest weaknesses. 1, her lack of draw power, and 2, the inconsistency in generating veracity. A Draw 1 Shackles allows you to unbrick hands and also randomly draw into extra copies, triggering the attunement for 4 veracity or more each time. Next up, Bottomless Hunger. In my opinion, there isn't a single bad version of this skill. Both Options 1 and 5 add veracity, which make them great for deck consistency, with Option 5 being a potential option for a DPS Narja build. Option 2 decreases the cost of 2 random cards in your hand by 1. When you think about it, this is basically just 2 AP for 0 cost, albeit you can't always choose what you spend the AP on. Option 3 is a unique upgrade that decreases the cost of 1 random card in your hand if you could activate 3 veracity stacks in one turn. Since this is a unique upgrade as of the recording of this video, it makes Narja an excellent support to farm in Chaos. When going to copy cards at the end of a Chaos run, uniques are not able to be in the copy pool, allowing cards that you actually want to copy to show up more often. Who knows if this changes in Season 2, But as of right now, having unique Epiphany are the metagame when it comes to farming decks, and having one here makes it a solid choice. Finally, we come to option 4, which is in my opinion the most interesting one. For one turn, the entire team's defense-based damage is increased by 100%, allowing combatants like Magna, Amir, and Calamity to become supercharged and put up some truly crazy numbers. If you've ever wanted to play a bruiser team, then this is the Epiphany for you. After Bottomless Hunger, we come to Voluntary Control. Option 1 gives a boatload of veracity and predation, making it generically good in most builds. Option 2 searches your deck for mealtime and puts it in your hand. Otherwise, it grants you 3 morale if mealtime is in the graveyard. Interesting card to build around for combo players if you can cycle your deck quickly, allowing for a lot of mealtime spam. Option number 3 gives you 1 veracity every time a target's action count is decreased for the next 2 turns. I've tried this one several times and I honestly just don't like it. It forces you to play in this way that kind of puts you in danger all the time or makes suboptimal moves, and the payoff is just that you get to play Narja properly. The character just gets to function the way she's intended. Again, not a fan. Option 4 gives you a one-time usage of 10 veracity and then grants 1 predation whenever a selected attack card in your deck is moved to your hand for the rest of the battle. In a long enough fight, this will actually generate a fair amount of predation stacks, especially if it's on characters like Mei Lin or Yuki, who can very easily grab the same attack over and over again every single turn. Finally, option 5 grants veracity whenever you use a basic attack card and also increases your basic attack card damage. This is the Epiphany that was very clearly designed to be used with characters like Mei Lin and Chizuru. To recap, option 1 is generically the safest to use, with options 2 and 4 being great combo cards in the hands of experienced players. Lastly, option 5 is great if you want to play her with Mei Lin or Chizuru's basic attack spam build. Lastly, we come to Domain of Veracity. Option 1 grants 3 veracity on Ravage, giving you another way to generate stacks in a pinch. Option 2 increases the defense-based damage all enemies take for 2 turns, making it excellent to use on teams with damage-based vanguards. Option 3 provides some incidental healing when attacking the enemy for the next 5 times, but honestly, I've never really found myself wanting for healing on Narja, so this one doesn't really seem worth it. Option 4 is a 3 AP cost AoE attack that activates again if you have both veracity and predation stacks. This one I haven't really had much success with either, as it's far too cumbersome to use, and unlike Serennial, Narja isn't exactly swimming in AP, although I guess maybe she could be with the right build. Finally, option 5 is an upgrade that generates a heal for 200% whenever you use mealtime. In my experience, the heal on this thing is actually quite substantial, making each mealtime heal for something like 600 to 1200 health, which makes sustain issues nearly non-existent for any piece of difficult content. To recap, option 1 is the generically safe option, option 2 is best for players who want to use vanguards, and option 5 is great for difficult content where sustain could be an issue. When it comes to memory fragments, Narja has a fair number of viable builds. She's surprisingly flexible, so my advice to you would be to just choose the memory fragments you own with the best overall substats. I've divided the possible builds for her into 3 categories. First up is playing her on a triple 2-piece set consisting of the Executioner's Tool set, Tetra's Authority set, and your choice of a 3rd set, ideally either Seth's Scarab for extra basic card healing, or Healer's Journey just to get more bulk. The second option is going to be the Judgment Flame set with either the Executioner's Tool 2-piece set or Tetra's Authority 2-piece set. Judgment Flames gives the most amount of damage amongst all the 4-piece sets, but requires your team to be able to consistently ravage the opponent, otherwise it's going to feel lackluster. This is ideal if you plan to pair her with Serennial. Finally, Conqueror's Aspect can work well with Tetra's Authority 2-piece set or Executioner's Tool 2-piece set. While this setup might not feel optimal, it still works largely because most of Narja's damage comes from Shackles of Hunger and Domain of Veracity, both of which are 1-cost cards. As for main and substats, it's pretty straightforward. For main stats, you're going to want crit chance for the 4th slot Ideal, instinct damage bonus for the 5th slot Desire, and defense percentage for the 6th slot Imagination. As for substats, flat defense, defense percentage, crit chance, and critical hit damage are what you're going to want to be chasing. And to wrap up the video, let's talk about teammates and partners for Narja. Narja is a generically strong support capable of being played on almost every single team composition you could think of, either as a primary healer, main support, or even off DPS. If I had to describe a weakness of hers, it'd be her innate lack of draw power. You can circumvent this by prioritizing Epiphany that give draw power to Narja, certainly, but I find it's best when you pair her with teammates that have dedicated draw. And these are fairly numerous. They include characters like Nia, Veronica, Yuki, Hugo, and even Felipe. Of those, I feel like Veronica is the standout for Chaos. I mentioned this briefly in the Epiphany section, but Narja has a lot of unique cards in her kit, and that's also true for Veronica. These two together make building decks an absolute breeze for whoever your third character is, and the two of them in tandem provide strong healing, buffs, solid damage, and card draw. As of the recording of this video, I think Veronica plus Narja together can pair with any other character on the roster and form a nearly perfect team. While Narja is a generically good support, I think she does have one niche that she excels at compared to all others. That's as a dedicated support for defense-based DPS, namely the ones found in the Vanguard class. In my testing, Felipe proved to be a strong partner for Narja, as did both Magna and Maribel. But if there's one character that really shines on Narja's team, it's Amir. Amir's Full Metal Hurricane and Metallization combo potential really benefit from the bonus 100% defense-based damage buffs that are found in Narja's kit. This will allow Amir to hit for well over 5,000 or even 10,000 damage in a single go. If you've ever wanted to play Amir, Narja is that character to pair her with. Now, let's talk about partners. When it comes to 5-star partners, you have two very strong options. Gaia will give Narja the most amount of damage thanks to the various different passive effects she has. And the 3 ego cost skill synergizes well with Veracity and gives you some bonus card draw, albeit it's a bit overcosted at 3 ego points. Do note that if there are no attack cards left in your deck when activating Gaia, it will fail to find a card and you'll get nothing, so keep that in mind. The other strong 5-star partner option is one that some of you probably can already guess, and that's NIKKE. NIKKE is arguably the best partner in the entire game, providing you with extra bulk, healing, team damage, and the best ego skill in the game in Errant Hurricane, allowing you to draw up to 4 cards with it. The only issue with NIKKE is that she's a paid battle pass option, so not everyone is going to have access to her. For my free-to-play players out there, it's a toss-up between 2 options for the best partner. Alyssa gives by far the most amount of defense at a whopping 24% over Yvonne's 16% if all you care about is having the biggest stats. She also provides a cheap heal and morale boost for 1 turn if you need it. That said, there is still an argument to be made that Arwen is the best free-to-play controller partner. This is thanks to her ridiculous damage reduction passive that could further be amplified by the damage reduction active skill that she has. Which is better? I think it's going to be personal preference. You take Alyssa if you want the stats and damage, otherwise just take Arwen for the general sustain. And that's going to do it for how to play Narja. If I made any mistakes or I missed anything, please let me know down in the comment section below. And while you're there, check for a pinned comment in case anything has changed since I've recorded this guide. If you want to see more how to play videos in the same style, there should be a playlist on your screen now. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.